Welcome back to another episode of BMAX Audio Adventure. I'm Brandon, and this is another installment of what I'm calling BJJ365, which is just me sitting in front of a microphone every day and giving you 5, 10, 15 minutes of just martial arts talk, just kind of dorking it up. So today I want to start with this seed of thought, like just this piece of a thought, which is that I want my training to be the way a 10-year-old girl would train. Okay, now here's what I mean by that. So I practice jiu-jitsu, of course. I'm a black belt. My wife has been training just as long as I have. She's a brown belt. My son, 13, he trains. My daughter, 10, she trains. I want to believe this. I don't know if I 100% believe it, but this is what I'm striving for. This is what I'm aiming for. If my technique or my movement that I'm trying to accomplish requires more strength than what my 10-year-old daughter has, then I need to discard it, at least in that moment, right? If my daughter has to be as strong as me or as fast as me or as flexible as me or whatever as me in order to pull off a movement or to pull off a strategy, then it doesn't really have place in my jiu-jitsu. In fact, I would say it no longer is jiu-jitsu. Again, we're talking about jiu-jitsu as the yielding way, the way of giving, the way of connecting to your opponent and then moving with them. And if my daughter has to muscle something, she's simply not capable of it. And so her jiu-jitsu cannot be made of muscling a technique or being fast and quick. It has to be built on the backbone of strategy and the principles of jiu-jitsu that make a technique strong: leverage, balance, weight distribution, timing, patience, etc., etc. And it has to be built with safety in mind as the first priority, right? Because I do not care if my daughter becomes a world champion, but I do care that she is safe at all times or that she's able to survive a physical encounter, okay? So that's what I think about the idea of should you use strength in jiu-jitsu. Now, here's the other, I guess the dilemma, the paradox, is that you must use strength in your training. Like, your muscles don't move without strength, right? And sometimes the most efficient thing that you can do is add a little oomph to it. Just give it a little pop, a little twist, a little grunt, right? So just like sometimes the most efficient thing you can do is just to rip your arm out of a position, just to limp your arm out of an omoplata and pull it out of there. And no gi, sometimes that's the most efficient escape. So then, how do I reconcile the aim and the desire to use the strength of a 10-year-old girl when I train and when I learn with the fact that strength is a huge factor in who wins, who loses? I think you have to organize your training in your heart in a certain way. Right? Not intellectually, but you have to arrange your feelings about the outcome of your training in a new way in order to train this way. For example, it can't matter that much that this guy tapped you or that this guy passed your guard, right? It has to matter more to you that you pulled the technique off in a clean and efficient and pure way, right? So that you're passing my guard. If I have to use more strength than my daughter can generate to stop you from passing, I would rather you pass and let me get the education of where this technique falls apart. Because now I have some data that I can apply to my defense. It's like, oh, it breaks here. If I don't use strength, it breaks right here. If I don't use my flexibility, it breaks right here. If I don't use my speed, if I don't change pace on him, it breaks right here. Do you understand? So I'm using this filter to constantly poke holes in my technique. If Logan can't do it, then I should not. Now, I have to be okay with that. That's the problem. Because when I train with that ideology as the leader, I lose more in the training room. And I lose drills more often. It's easier in drills because we don't mind losing at drills, right? Like, it's okay. We're just doing a guard passing drill, and you don't want the guy to pass your guard, but he passes your guard. You don't lose that much sleep over it, right? But if he, passed your guard while you're rolling, that might be a different story altogether. Or if he tapped you, God forbid he taps you, and now, you can't even live with yourself. It's the way that I used to train. But by organizing the way that I think, or more importantly, the way that I feel about the outcomes, that I'm able to kind of access this new filter and this new way of training. I say new. It's not new. It's newer for me in the last couple of years. But it has helped me so much to enjoy training more. It's like, I'm not a world champion. I have zero desire to be a world champion. I just got into jiu-jitsu because I was super out of shape and I needed something cool to do that would make me want to do it every day. And so that's what jiu-jitsu is for me. I'm not going to start lifting weights and running and doing a bunch of like impossible strength and conditioning now. Like, I got into jiu-jitsu because I hate that stuff. I wasn't going to do it. So then my training has to be different. It can't be based on being strong and fast and all that stuff. I've got to access like a different part of jiu-jitsu. I got to dive deep into the art. Plus, let's be real. I'm 38 years old now. I'm not the oldest dude in the game, but I ain't the youngest dude in the game, and my body is starting to feel the effects of the way that I used to train. And if I would have continued that, I would have already quit probably. So I was just banging my head against a wall, like especially like as a purple belt when I was trying to be a little more competitive. I've kind of like shed most of that. And it's because I was able, generally speaking, this is not always true. This is the ideal that I'm striving for. Able to divorce my feelings about myself from the outcome of my training or the outcome of my competing. And once I was able to kind of let go that like losing this match doesn't make me bad. Losing this position doesn't mean that I'm bad at jiu-jitsu. It doesn't mean that I suck. It just means that I got beat. That's just a fact. That's just something that happened. That could turn, 1 inch here, 1 inch there can change that, But so that's in competition, you have to arrive at that, right? But in the training room, I think it's even more important because I want to continue to train and dive deeper and deeper into the art. And the only way that I can do that in a sustained way, like to spend hours on the mat every day, which I have to do as a gym owner, or I choose to do as a gym owner. The only way I can do that is to soften my training dramatically. And when I meet you force with force, I bail on the philosophy of jiu-jitsu, and I bail on my philosophy of training with the strength of a 10-year-old girl. So, okay, that's a lot of rambling. I've probably said the same thing 1,000 times. 8 minutes, that seems like plenty on the topic. If you guys have something you'd like to hear me riff on, shoot me a message. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm at brandonmc.ninja. I'm on facebook.com/brandonmc.ninja. And, of course, my website where I do all my classes and seminars and stuff like that. It's brandonmc.ninja, www.brandonmc.ninja. It's $5 a month. I also do the MMAschool.com. That's with Cole Miller, one of the greatest submission artists in UFC history. And we're doing striking, wrestling, cage work, how to cut weights, $20 a month, access to all of my techniques, all the gi techniques that Cole is putting up. So you guys check that out. Man, stop in and see me in Decatur sometime. I would love to train with you, and I'd love to just, get to know those of you that I haven't got to meet yet. I'm super appreciative of those of you that are listening to the podcast because I know that you guys are deep into what I'm saying, and it just means a lot to me, and I thank you very much.